Hey Luke, Luke's made a video about psychology and how we would all become better people if we learned a bit of it. And you know what? I think I agree. At least speaking for myself, when I first took a psychology class in 11th grade, it was only then that I realized I could no longer blame people for being people. And as Luke was describing in his video, it's kind of difficult to blame serial killers for what they do. Obviously it can make you angry and morally outraged, but these people are obviously incapable of expressing themselves in a normal way, and so they've murdered in order to get attention the only way they know how. Whether that's attention in the form of self-love or love from others, at least attention, hatred being a form of love, really. To hate someone, you need to expend just as much energy as to love them. But, psychology is the study of the soul and its desires. And everyone has desires. And the soul is not always in control of its desires. Sometimes its desires are in control of it. And that's where the learning comes in. Learning psychology is, well, in one way, it's learning to talk. It's learning to speak with others, to conversate, to share truth. Because, the human soul is really a product of language, right? We're given a name by our parents, which holds a place for us in the language, and we eventually come to learn to speak ourselves, to fill that place. And in so doing, we become a person, a genuine psyche. And a psyche is more than just an ego. The ego is the face, the surface, perhaps. And then there's the self, which is that which is behind the mask, behind the surfacial image that is presented to the world. And, that's where psychology begins to become transpersonal. And, I'm not sure if Luke specifically is willing to go there. I know, I won't pretend to know Luke's metaphysical premises, but when you start to consider the psyche as more than the ego, immediately you're forced to ask certain spiritual questions, like first of all, where did the psyche come from, and where will it go after death? Certainly the ego will die, or was never really a stable, fixed thing to begin with. The personality develops throughout our lives. The ego is a series of images more than it is a stable idea. Our sense of ourselves, the story we tell to explain ourselves to others, is always adapting, growing, hopefully. So never is there actually an ego. Once you recognize that, I think you're then faced with certain spiritual issues. One of those spiritual issues would be the universe itself. We are not an ego isolated and cut off from the rest of the world, but are in fact part of a larger cosmos. So, as an example of that, I'll post a link to a blog that I've just finished and uploaded over on Gaia.com about Plato's Timaeus, where I sort of give a critique of his cosmology as outlined in Timaeus, because it leaves out really women, sex, and death. And it's my opinion that any account of our actual experience in this universe must account for those three things. And while Plato makes mention of them, I don't think he gives a full enough account of them, or a proper account of them. But yeah, if you're curious to read, I'll post a link. Thanks for listening.